Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Cask 529. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Shona.
Tonight, we've got kind of a special little blind, I guess, set up.
We do.
And so, we're going to take a look at some 10-year bourbons. If you wait just a second, we'll be right back, guys. Welcome back, everybody. And here we are with looks like 4 great bottles tonight.
It is very, like, a really good lineup. Super excited about it. So after you and I reviewed the Michter's 10-year, just early last week, or I believe it was, one of our viewers commented, hey, I would really like to see that in a lineup with other 10 years, and he actually gave us the 10 years that he wanted, and lucky enough, we have them, so we're able to do that. So tonight we are going to be doing a blind, and it truly is a blind for both of us. Someone was nice enough to pour these out for us, and we have the answer key in the glass there, so it is truly a blind. So we have the Michter's 10-year. That comes in at $184.99, which is also 94.4 proof. Then we are lining it up against the Henry McKenna 10-year, which is 100 proof and comes in at $64.99. We have the Eagle Rare that is 90 proof, and it comes in at $41.99. And then we have the Russell's Reserve 10-year that is $42.99 and also another 90 proof. So all relatively in the same proof point, which makes this a nice lineup. And I think, you know, for us here in Ohio, the only one that's not kind of hard to find is the Russell's 10-year. We can go into any store, find that pretty much any time, day or night, and get that.
Yep.
The Henry McKenna, I don't know if it's truly allocated here in Ohio.
I don't believe it is, but it seems to be really hit or miss.
It is.
I've seen it, and then I've looked for it and not seen it.
Yeah, so it's not one that typically we can go get at all. We picked that up in Kentucky, so we do have it, but we did not get it here in Ohio. Of course, everybody knows Eagle Rare is allocated, one of the harder ones to kind of get your hands on sometimes. And of course, the Michter's is even harder than the Eagle Rare. And so what we really want to do is, honestly, for me, is the price point on this 10-year at its proof point really worth the hunt and hunting for it compared to these others that are a little bit easier to get your hands on.
And that really makes it not fair to pair it up with the other 3, because these are all pretty reasonable at retail. You know, this is probably 4 times as much as this bottle.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So, and probably 3 times as much as that bottle.
Right.
And
4
again,
times.
about
about.
So
approximately,
you know,
not exact.
Price-wise, it's not necessarily a fair comparison, but they are all 10 years, and that's what we were asked to do, was compare these 4 10 years. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And like Shona said, it is a blind for both of us, so we're looking forward to it.
We are.
We just recently had our first taste of the Henry McKenna. As we remember it, it was phenomenal.
Yes, it was good.
So let's jump in, I guess,
Okay.
see what we've got. It's got a sweet nose on
It
it.
does. It's a nice nose. Getting a hint of vanilla. A little bit of char on that nose. Nice. As this one first enters my palate, it's what you expect from a bourbon. You're getting the vanilla, the caramel, the little bit of oak and char, sweetness. It is a very, very nice pour.
It's really strange to me because I got those things you mentioned. But when it first hit my palate, I thought it was really thin. Did you get that?
It didn't finish then for me either.
No, it did not finish that way, but when it first hit the palate, I felt like the viscosity was really thin on it.
I can see where you're getting that.
It was
I
also my
guess-
first sip of anything
right.
today, so.
I guess, when it first hit my palate, I was getting that vanilla and caramel. And so I didn't pay attention to that. But it doesn't finish that way. It's more of a creamier.
Yeah, it's really strange that it switches.
It does.
That's not
You're
usually
right. It does switch though.
a characteristic that switches.
Yep, completely. Agree.
Really good though. Smooth. Had a really nice hug at the end.
It did. Not a strangle you hug, just a nice
No,
hug.
just a really nice, warming hug. Now this one looks to be a little bit richer in color. Not much, actually. Both 2 and 3 look to be a little richer.
Number 2 has a nice nose. It's just kind of there. You're picking up light notes of the caramel and vanilla, and maybe a little bit of char. But you have
I
to
feel
really,
like it's a little bit spicier on the nose
Yeah.
than one was.
and you really have to search for it. Again, enters your palate with the flavors that you're expecting. I'm getting the caramels, the vanillas.
I've got some like smoky.
This one definitely, I'm going to say, may have more rye than the first one because there's a lot more spice to it. It finishes with a spicier note.
Yeah, I've actually got that all across the roof of my mouth. That what's making you think it's a rye or rye heavier?
Yeah, definitely a spicier pour than what number 1 was, but it's very enjoyable. I would say that the hug on it is about relatively the same. I think they're all pretty much drinking at their proof points. So, very good.
Yeah, that's
I think it's good.
so. The Michter's, you mentioned proof point. The Michter's is kind of the dark horse. It's a little higher proof, right? No,
No.
It's right in there with the rest of them.
That is correct.
Okay.
The Henry McKenna is actually 100 proof, and it is the highest proof one
Okay.
tonight. The Michter's was 94.4, and
Okay.
these are both 90. So
Perfect.
they're all
They're all
relatively
really close. It's
yeah.
just the price that separates them.
Yep, it's just the price.
Just the price.
Same age stated, pretty much proof points are good. And so really, what we're trying to figure out is it truly worth it? I'm anxious, I really am anxious, because I can tell you, Eagle Rare has won for me. I know that Russell's has won for me as well. And I'm not sure so much, we've never done Henry McKenna or the Michters in a blind, so not sure how they're going to fall. The nose on number 3 is kind of just there for me. Right now, number 1 has the best nose.
I got really a lot of sweet on 3 right off the bat.
On the nose or
on the palate.
yeah. I mean, I am picking up some of the vanilla, the caramel, but I thought number 2 had a light nose. This one has almost a lighter nose than number 2. I'm almost picking up a tobacco note on number 3 though. Nice, a lot of oak forward. Has a nice sweetness to it, a little bit of chocolate, I'd say,
Yeah, I get dark chocolate.
and some spice.
I get a little bit of caramel in there. The hug is almost non-existent to me on that one.
You're right. I feel like number 1 had more of a hug than 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Number 2 had a hug to it, but I think it was more the spiciness hug.
Yeah, 2 had the characteristics of a hug, but I wouldn't have called it a true. I think 1 had the best hug. And it was really nice and even, and it didn't change like the pressure of the hug didn't change much.
No, I completely agree. So number 3, I would say is a little bit different compared to 1 and 2. You're picking up a little bit of different notes. Like number 1 and 2, when they had entered my palate, I'm getting that true bourbon. The vanillas, the caramels, the little bit of spice, the oak. Number 3 for me is a little bit more oak forward. I am picking up some vanilla and caramel. However, I'm also getting that dark chocolate note. It's a little bit of spice note. It's a little bit different. It's good. They're all good so far.
So far, yeah. Yep. And really, I feel like in the big picture, in the grand scheme of things, so far they've been pretty similar. I mean, they've got some characteristics that are a little bit different, but they're kind of all the same characteristics. They just vary a little bit in how they present.
Yep. I will tell you that you can pour me any of the first 3 so far, and I will not walk away from it.
There's a surprise, guys.
I like the nose on number 4. Has a little bit of citrus to it.
I'm not getting really any spice off of that one.
Not getting the spice, but I am getting that citrus note with some vanilla. A little bit of char note.
I kind of get that citrus residual,
Yeah.
unlike my lips. My tongue.
Again, this one's a little bit more unique than 1 and 2.
It's different.
I'd say the viscosity on this is more of a watery. I don't get that creaminess or anything like that on it.
Yeah.
It's finishing really sweet on my palate though.
It seems to be a little lower on the viscosity side.
So definitely getting a citrus note to it. Then it comes through with a lot of caramel and brown sugar notes. And it's finishing with just a little bit of baking spice, but then definitely a sweet note at the finish.
The caramel and the vanilla to me are heavy. I get a little bit of the brown sugar. I don't have it. It's not heavy for me.
Again, another good pour. Now the hard part. You can go back through these.
And then you got to put them in order.
Got to put them in order.
What are you starting for?
Yep, starting 4. I'm going to just kind of get through these, then we'll line them up.
I don't know. The second sip on that for me is pretty,
Flat.
yeah.
I see that.
I don't want to say bland
It's
because
not
there's
bland.
some flavor there.
No.
It's just not, there's nothing that really pops. There's nothing that grabs your attention. No hug at all.
There is not a hug on this one. You're right, absolutely not. So I am going to say it has to definitely be one of the 90 proof ones. So it has to be Eagle or Russell's because there is no hug to it.
Yeah, I don't.
But it drinks really nice.
That's probably going to end up being my number 4, and I think it's because of the hug. You don't have that.
Right. Because you like more of that hug.
Yeah.
Nowadays he likes more of
Yeah,
the hug.
nowadays. A year ago, I'd have been like,
That's nice.
perfect.
That's perfect.
That's real nice, Clark.
Okay, number 3 didn't change much for me. Really getting that oak.
Yeah. Viscosity is a
beginning.
lot nicer on 3 than it is 4. The oak is very forward. And I get some hints of sweetness with that, but it's a real nice mild sweetness, where that oak to me is more.
It is. It's kind of. It's right there in your face type.
Yeah.
Oakiness, but it's not. It's not horrid. It's,
No, but you can't miss it.
No. Yeah. Number 2 is really pleasant. I really like number 2 compared to how this is going.
2 is really nice.
It's just, it has a little bit of hug. It has that spice. It has the vanillas, the caramels. It's a little bit of.
I'm gonna, and I may be wrong. Make some kind of a note if you would. I'm gonna guess that to be Eagle Rare.
You think number 2 is Eagle Rare?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that one's Eagle Rare.
Okay.
Not that it means anything. We'll just see. These are going to be hard to put in order.
They are. Number 1 still has the best nose for me. I really enjoy. It is kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie. They're all enjoyable pours, but I think I know how I'm gonna line mine up.
So, the hug is not as strong on the second sip of that.
Nope.
This is really hard. I'm torn between 1 and 2 being my first. And I think I'm just going to switch those based on the second sip. Okay? And 3 could be very easily up into either one of those spots, but I'm going to leave it where it's at. And of course 4 will stay 4.
Okay. So I put number 1 down in my 4th place spot.
Yeah, we're kind of all mixed up.
We are. The only one we have the same is number 3.
We both have number 2 as number 1.
So we have our first place and our 3rd place is the same.
Yep.
So hey, we got 2 the same.
That's not bad.
All right, let's see what these
we're ready.
are.
We're ready.
So in first place, we both have number 2, the second one we tasted, as our. You really sealed that up for you.
Yeah, somebody really did a number on that. Okay, number 2 is Henry McKenna.
Woohoo! So that is our first place for both of us. And you know, we when we tasted that one, we really did like it.
So I was wrong. I said that was Eagle Rare.
Yep, you were.
Okay, where do we want to go? Number 4. for you. We'll do Shauna's.
We'll do mine,
We'll do
then
Shauna's
we'll do
lineup.
his.
So she had McKenna. She had Eagle Rare. She had
3.
the Michter's 10.
As my 3rd place. And then Russell's
And she had Russell's
in my 4th place.
down here in last place. Okay, so that was Shauna's lineup. Henry McKenna, Eagle Rare, Michter's 10, Russell's tenure.
So yours is just reversed here.
So mine is Russell's 10 here and Eagle Rare down here. So, again though, I mean, for me, the Eagle Rare in this lineup just didn't pop. There, compared to the others, it didn't do anything for me.
Yeah. You know what this tells me, and what it could tell some of you, I mean, everybody's palate is different and nobody's palate's wrong, so whatever you enjoy the most. But it just really goes to show that highly sought after, high dollar bourbons, whiskeys are not always better.
No, absolutely not.
And
And I think we've known that.
Oh yeah, but this just proves it again.
Yeah. Sometimes you get a higher end bourbon and it's like, wow, I see why they charge that for it.
Yeah. Yep.
And then other times, and it's not that this is a bad bourbon.
No,
it's just.
these are all good. Very
And
good.
you know what? When we reviewed this the first time, we had the same opinion. It's really good, but it's not that good.
Right.
It's not $ good, in our opinion. I'm happy to see that for both of us, the McKenna came in first,
Yeah.
because we were really excited when we first tasted it.
We were.
I could not have tasted anything tonight and said, that's McKenna.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Really, and I mean, I took a guess at what I thought Eagle Rare was,
And you were wrong.
and I was wrong. In fact, what I thought was Eagle Rare ended up being McKenna. So, okay, so there you have it. The 10-year blind to include Michter's 10 as requested by one of our viewers. Thanks, Jared, for throwing that suggestion out there. And like Shauna said earlier, I would gladly drink any of them.
Most definitely.
I would probably have a preference, but I'm not going to say no to any of it. We do say no sometimes. So, if you don't have anything else.
I don't know, but thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us. If you liked the show, please hit that like button. We really appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, as long as you like what we're doing. Drop us a comment. If you've had these, tell us what you think of them. If you've done this blind or something really close, let us know that too.
Yep.
And until next time, be safe, everybody.
Thank you.